Elizabeth I was more than just a queen. She was a master of image, myth, and power. Rising from the shadow of scandal as the daughter of Anne Boleyn, she redefined what it meant to rule in a man's world. She never married, calling herself the Virgin Queen, not out of weakness but as a calculated strategy. Her unmarried status became a symbol of purity and divine authority, tying her to both the Virgin Mary and the soul of England itself. In today's video, we will see why Elizabeth I was the real badass queen. But before I start, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe the History of Facts Show and press the bell icon. Thank you. Elizabeth I's entry into the world was anything but ordinary. Born on September 7, 1533, she was the daughter of King Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn, a union that has shaken the very foundations of England. Her birth was expected to deliver a long-awaited male heir, but instead came a daughter. The disappointment was palpable, and the political consequences were profound. Elizabeth's arrival was not just a family matter, it was a national controversy. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, was executed when Elizabeth was just 2 years old, accused of adultery, incest, and treason, charges widely believed to have been fabricated to allow Henry to move on to a new queen. In the wake of Anne's downfall, Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and removed from the line of succession. From princess to political outcast, her early life was marked by instability and uncertainty. It was a dramatic and dangerous start for the girl who would eventually become one of England's greatest monarchs. As she grew up, Elizabeth received one of the finest educations in Europe. She was fluent in Latin, Greek, French, and Italian, and she developed a keen mind for politics, philosophy, and religion. It was this intelligence and discipline that helped her navigate the deadly politics of the Tudor court. Her teenage years were dominated by the reign of her half-brother Edward VI, a devout Protestant who took the throne at just 9 years old. During Edward's rule, Elizabeth quietly positioned herself as a loyal Protestant without drawing too much attention. A smart move, given how short and chaotic his reign would prove to be. When he died at 15, a crisis over succession unfolded. Although Elizabeth had a clear claim to the throne, Edward had named Lady Jane Grey, another Protestant, as his successor. Jane's reign lasted just 9 days before Mary I, daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, took the throne with widespread support. Mary's rule brought a sharp turn back to Catholicism, and for Elizabeth, it brought grave danger. Seen as a Protestant figurehead, Elizabeth was immediately under suspicion. Things came to a head in 1554 during Wedge's Rebellion, a Protestant-led uprising against Mary's planned marriage to Philip II of Spain. Although there was little evidence that Elizabeth was directly involved, she was arrested and sent to the Tower of London. This was the same place her mother, Anne Boleyn, had been imprisoned before her execution, and for Elizabeth, it was a harrowing reminder of what could happen. But she played her part brilliantly. She claimed innocence, expressed loyalty to Mary, and stayed composed under intense pressure. Her calm, careful answers made it impossible to convict her without risking public sympathy. After 2 months, she was released, but not to freedom. Instead, she was placed under house arrest in the countryside. Her survival wasn't luck, it was calculation, discipline, and the instinct to speak only when it was safe. She learned early that words could kill, that trust was dangerous, and that power once taken had to be guarded with everything. In 1588, Queen Elizabeth I faced the greatest military threat of her reign, the Spanish Armada. Spain under King Philip II was the mightiest empire in the world, its navy unmatched in scale and prestige. The conflict was rooted in religion, politics, and revenge. England had become a Protestant nation under Elizabeth, and Philip, a staunch Catholic, saw it as his divine duty to remove her and restore Catholicism to the English throne. The Spanish Armada was a colossal fleet of over 130 ships, heavily armed and carrying thousands of soldiers. His mission? Sail to the Netherlands, pick up more troops, cross the English Channel, and invade England. England's navy by comparison was smaller and less organized, but it was more agile, more experienced with the choppy Channel waters, and led by daring commanders like Sir Francis Drake and Lord Charles Howard. Rather than meeting the Armada head-on, the English used clever hit-and-run tactics, harassed the Spanish fleet, and set fire to ships to break their tight formations. Bad weather, famously called the Protestant wind, also scatters the Spanish ships and helped the English gain the upper hand. The defeat of the Spanish Armada marked a turning point. It crushed the myth of Spanish invincibility, boosted England's standing in Europe, and solidified Elizabeth's image as a powerful, almost mythical monarch. It wasn't just a military victory, it was the moment Elizabeth proved she was more than a figurehead. She was a ruler in every sense. Elizabeth I then was defined by her ability to navigate religious and political minefields with remarkable finesse. She lived in an age when religion was not just a matter of faith, but a driving force behind power, loyalty, and rebellion. And yet, she refused to be directed to the Pope by Protestant radicals or by Parliament itself. Rather than impose one extreme over the other, she crafted what became known as the Elizabethan religious settlement. This was not a passionate theological doctrine, it was a carefully designed compromise. The Church of England would retain some Catholic-style rituals, but its theology would be Protestant. The monarch, not the Pope, would be supreme governor of the church. Crucially, it gave room for quiet dissent. As long as you didn't openly challenge the crown, you were tolerated. This clever balancing act brought a measure of peace and allowed her to avoid full-scale religious wars tearing through Europe. As for Parliament, Elizabeth kept it firmly in check. She understood its power but knew it could become a threat if left unchecked. Especially in matters like marriage or succession, she was masterful in using delay tactics, personal charm, and the art of ambiguity. She listened flattened, then did what she had already decided to do. Even when Parliament pushed her to marry on name and hair, she resisted, reminding them that these were royal prerogatives, not matters for debate. Though a mixture of diplomacy, calculated ambiguity, and sheer intellect, Elizabeth ruled as a woman in a man's world, on her own terms. She wasn't born into inconsistent power. She earned every inch of it, surviving scandal, imprisonment, assassination plots, and civil unrest. While her father, Henry VIII, ruled through fear and brute force, Elizabeth ruled through strategy, charisma, and intellect. She turned a fragile, divided kingdom into a global power, ushered in golden age of exploration, literature, and culture, and left a legacy strong enough to define an entire era, the Elizabethan era. I hope you have an idea about Elizabeth I. Comment and let me know which queen things in history you would like to learn about in the next video. Thanks for watching.